Hey, everybody. I am Allegra Stein, and welcome to the weekly coaching recap. If you are new to the recaps, what they are is essentially a highlight reel from this week's open mentorship call that I host in the community I run called Misfit to Maverick. Every Tuesday, there is an open mentorship call where members get one-on-one support with me in a small group setting. So it's valuable on many levels because you're getting the direct mentorship, but you're also getting the support and the connection and the insight of the others in the room. And even if you don't have a question, a lot of coaches are learning from watching others kind of talk about and workshop their own ideas. And what I like to do during these calls is ask participants to capture their biggest takeaways on digital Post-its that we put on a Jamboard, which is a resource through Google Suite that's really cool. And let me just show you really quick what it is that I'm talking about. This is the Jamboard that we made from this past week. It's a little bit smaller than usual because I had to join through the telephone for the first half, so we didn't collect notes through the whole call. This is the Jamboard from a week ago, from the 24th. This is what they more typically look like. And what I love to do is just hop on here and capture those highlights, kind of pick some of the Post-its, fill you in on some of the biggest takeaways with hopes that they help you on your coaching journey. Now, if you would like to get some help, as early as next Tuesday, you can be coming to the next open mentorship call just by joining Misfit to Maverick. The link is down below. And if you're watching this and you're already a member, don't hesitate to share your comments, your follow-up questions, all of your asks, and to come to the next call where I would love to help you with the work that you're doing. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. So let's see. One of the Post-its says, what is a free way that people can experience you? I really love this idea. Now, this isn't going to be the right fit for everybody. There are lots of ways that people can experience your work, especially if you're really jazzed about like online marketing. There are all kinds of pieces of content and assets and ways of introducing people to your work without actually having to get on a live interaction with you in some way. My top strength is relator. So I really love connecting with people even before they've decided to work with me. For a decade, I've been teaching free workshops and doing, free calls and discovery calls. So I'm really inspired by some of the higher touch ways of inviting someone to experience me and my work before they have to pay me anything. And so we talked about that in the call, and I just want to put it on the table and invite you to consider what is the free sample of your work? What is the appetizer? And I don't mean like a PDF or some freebie DIY course. I mean, I have one of those too. I mean, like actually meeting someone, hosting a talk every month, a free talk every month where people can come and engage and interact with you. Maybe having open coaching hours once a week. I know a coach who does Friday Voxer coaching office hours where you can just reach her over Voxer. Kind of a random example today, June 2nd, I have a call scheduled for Misfit to Maverick where I'm going to talk about membership and community building. And I spontaneously went onto my Instagram and just said, hey, if you're free today and you want to come, I'd love to open it up to non-members. And I don't know if anyone's going to take me up on it, but it's that kind of thing. How can someone experience your work, experience you, connect with you, get to know you, maybe ask you a few questions before you're even talking about the possibility of working together? So that was on one of those Post-its. Someone wrote, I cannot hide behind my learning anymore. So on this particular call, there were a number of coaches who we identify as super thinkers. Their superpowers are in the thinking strengths. And these are beautiful gifts to bring into your coaching partnerships. And every strength has a shadow side. And if you are a super thinker coach, you may find that you think a lot about coaching. You think a lot about all of the steps you want to take to, let's say, evolve your coaching practice, but you're not taking as much action as you would like. And that is because our strengths are also our kryptonite. If we don't use them with intention, they can kind of take over and sabotage our efforts, right? So I see this sometimes in super thinker coaches who just really can ruminate for weeks and weeks and weeks on an idea. And that's where I like to come in as an activator, because I really love helping people move into action. So one of the coaches on this call, she's been thinking about starting a podcast, but there was nervous energy around recording herself And so during this call, we really broke this big project down into very, very, very tiny steps. And while we were on the mentorship call, actually, she signed off, recorded herself, and came back to report about it. Like, it was this beautiful moment of making a decision, being willing to try something out, using the room for some accountability and sharing and cheerleading. And this note appeared on the Jamboard of like, I can't hide behind my learning anymore. If you are a natural learner, just notice if you like learning feels safe. Sometimes coaches who are learners, there's this acronym or there's this phrase I use where it's like always be certifying. I oftentimes know when I'm working with a learner before we've even done their strengths assessment, because they'll be like, well, I need to do another certification. I want to do another certification. And we just keep signing up to learn stuff. And I'm really big on helping you actually start to apply it and do something with it out in the world. Let's see. Oh yeah. The more you do the reps, the more you can adapt and be agile down the road. I am big these days on the importance of practicing. There are being a coach, having a coaching practice and creating clients are not things that you just do. They're the result of tons of little moments of practice, right? Practicing showing up, practicing being seen, practicing sharing your point of view, practicing extending invitations, practicing running workshops, practicing all kinds of stuff. And so your willingness to practice, I think, is a huge marker of how much success you're going to experience. Again, success as you define it. So this person says, the more you do the reps, and that's a phrase I'll use a lot. It's like, do the reps. You're not comfortable running workshops, but you want to run workshops, do it. Run workshops over and over and over again. Doing the reps, committing to practice is where you're going to start to see results showing up. And so I really love leaning into that idea. And I'd love to ask, like, are you practicing stuff? What are you practicing? What are you not practicing? And how can I help you get started? Let me know. Let me go ahead and look at this other Jamboard too, because there were two of them. Yep, your willingness to practice is directly correlated to how many clients you get. It's true. I really do believe it. It's my experience. It's how I've come to see it. And I invite you to consider it as well. Let your values shine through everything you do. This is how people know you are a good fit. So over the years, I have done different kinds of partnerships around strengths and values and UMAP. And values are an incredible thing to be clear on for yourself and to make sure that you are sharing out in the world. So for example, my top values are love and connection. And then things like creativity and curiosity and adventure. And I try and use and speak those values into the world as much as possible, because I know that client fit is oftentimes an expression of and like an awareness of shared values. So I want people to know the kind of energy that I bring into my coaching partnerships so they can decide if I'm going to be the right fit for them. And similarly, I want a sense of what values my potential clients hold to know if they're going to be a fit for me. So share your values out into the world, not only your strengths, which I think are incredibly important. And if you're watching this and you do not know your strengths, please consider getting them and marinating in them. I do have a Strengths for Coaches partnership. I'll link it down below, and I would love to do that with you. But use your strengths, utilize them, maximize them, and share your values out in the world, because it's what makes you such a unique and awesome coach out there in the coaching landscape. And is there one more? Is there one more? Let me see. Let me scan. Oh, this was really interesting. This is really interesting. So that one of the coaches on the call last week is working on building her email list and sending emails out. And she was like, what if people don't want to hear from me? So this is a very kind of tactical, strategic thing to think about, is this idea of like, well, I don't want to bug people. And what if they don't want to hear from me? And to that, I have a pretty straightforward answer. The people on your email list are grown-ups, and they can decide what they want to read and what they don't want to read. And I think far too often I don't know why, but there's this just tendency to be like, oh, I'm bothering people, or I'm bugging them. I don't want to be annoying. You know what? You can email as often as you feel inspired to. You can email every day if you want. Some argue that it is actually the best way to stay in touch with the people on your list because you stay in their sphere, they're familiar with seeing your name, they're used to checking out your notes. And if they're annoyed, if they're like, God, I hate this, they can click unsubscribe. And in fact, those aren't the people who are ever going to buy your coaching anyway. Like they were never going to sign up. So that's not the only reason why we connect with people over email, but I whenever I hear that, I'm always like, let them make those decisions for themselves. And it came up yesterday too, someone who was concerned, like, well, I don't want to bother anybody. If you are high in responsibility, for example, as a strength, or if you struggle with saying no to stuff, that tendency might be showing up in how you feel about emailing people. Because it's very possible if you struggle to say no, you think those people are not going to be honest, like that they're going to see it and be annoyed by it and feel put upon. It's kind of like a projection of how we actually respond when someone asks something of us or gives us something that we're not that interested in. So just notice if your comfort with saying no and unsubscribing and letting people know that you're not interested, or the discomfort in that is carrying over into how you think people are going to respond to your outreach and your requests and your resources and the things that you want to put out in the world. And try and just tease that apart a little bit. And it'll change just your experience of being willing to share, which is a part of the deal. You know, we have to be willing to show up and be seen. So I invite you to consider those ideas. All right. I couldn't get to everything today, but I try and keep these kind of shortish. I don't know where I'm at, hopefully at the 10-ish minute mark. If you have follow-up questions, post them in the comments below. If you want to check out Misfit to Maverick and come to next Tuesday's call and get direct support with whatever your coaching question is, that information is also below. If you're already a Misfit to Maverick member, I see you. You're awesome. Bring all your questions into the community, post your ask anytime, come to the next calls. I've got you. We've all got you. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend. Talk again soon.